Welcome back to another epidose of these crazy people that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. It's Justin and Tom here again. Another
Hello.
episode of what the hell are we talking about today, Justin?
Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Um, we're not only the guys that eat meat and can't stop talking about it, we're also the guys that have interesting headgear, eyewear,
Hmm.
and can't stop talking about it on occasion. Um, so
What are
we,
you
we also,
wearing this evening?
what are you wearing this evening, like the red carpet? Well, we're all wearing more than Kanye West's wife. That's for sure. When she goes out in public.
All right.
Did you not see that, Tom?
I did.
Oh, okay. You
I had
kind of had
to
that look
I had to
like
read the subtitles though because where I saw it there was no volume. So I was like, what is this? They keep showing it and then I started reading the subtitles. So
there were words. I thought it was just all photography.
well they had closed caption going on.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things that I think to go back up to the Supreme Court, how they said, uh, you know it when you see it. Those particular photos, I don't know.
Oh,
Is
what
it
I saw was
art?
actual video. So
Because it's video, then you the Supreme Court rules, you know it when you see it, so you know it.
is that an actual Supreme Court ruling, or is that
Yeah,
just
it is. No,
somebody's?
really. Yeah, that's the Supreme Court ruling, or at least someone's, opinion um on, what the definition of adult explicit entertainment is.
Explicit.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to the channel. Here, we're not too explicit, at least I don't think so. I think there's the occasional B bomb or C bomb or something, because we have some European followers and a European as well as kind of an Indian, East Asian Indian
Well,
followers as well.
I think it's the the Australians and the New Zealanders that drop that C word the most.
Right,
Uh,
right.
It's like toxic here in the States,
Yeah,
so it's amusing. It's funny when they do it.
yeah, and it just comes off to them naturally, and no one attacks them. You get attacked pretty good here in the U.S. for a C bomb, that's for sure.
Yeah,
And I'm not talking about cancer.
and
Just
it's
just
funny that that word of all the words. I mean, because we have similar words.
right.
I don't know what the deal is. But I like to get hung up on language too, because to me,
Right.
everybody's non-specific. Nobody takes the time to craft what they're saying carefully. So I find it annoying all the
But
time.
we do drop the C bomb of carbs. We will talk about carbs. That is
Yeah,
true.
that's a much bigger deal.
And make sure you're talking about that L word and hit that like button. Make sure you're talking about that S word, hitting that share button. And make sure you're talking about that W word and just watching our videos. There's a library of over 400 videos covering variety topics under different names. Eyewear changes, guest change. If you put it on just shuffle, I'm sure it would be quite the experience for an afternoon or evening.
Yeah, I wonder when and added up all the different people that have been on this podcast, how many it would be. It's quite a few.
Yeah, it'd be quite a few. It used to be bumping. We used to have quite the party here. There was what, like five of us
Yeah.
nightly at a time.
Yeah, there was times when there was, five or four or five, six of us at a time for sure.
Those were good days. And
Mhm.
you'll see many if you're in the keto carnivore space, you'll see many faces that have some good accounts out there, some good size followings.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of them, their first place that they did something was here of all places, which
Well, we could talk about them. They won't mind. So Emily Pent used to be on here all the time.
right.
Um, Ray. Nazon, Raymond Nazon. He was on here. Bella's been on here. Bella, steak and butter gal. Of course, our buddy Bart, my Kiwi cousin. He's been on here. I've been on his podcast. I'm sure you've been on his podcast
Yeah,
too.
we both have. Yeah.
Uh, Sean Baker's been on here. That might have been before I was doing videos with you, though, right?
He came on with us as well once or twice.
Oh,
I remember. Yeah, we did videos with him as well. Mr. Joe Zumbo was
Mr. Joe
even more
Zumbo,
regular.
which I'm sure will circle back and be here with us before too long.
Um, we got Rebecca Farmer, who has an incredible, one of the most harrowing stories of
Mhm.
nutrition and well, and what would you say? Anti-nutrition. That's not the right word.
Anti-nutrition. It should be. Let's make it. Start using that.
uh, that are quite Charmaine.
Oh, yeah, Charmaine.
Charmaine, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Dr. Weed
probably like
Eater.
2019. We met Charmaine at the
Yeah.
Dr. Berg's, not Dr. Berg, Dr. Westman. Dr.
Westman.
Westman's so low carb LA or something, but it was in Long Beach.
Yeah, something
It
like
was
that.
right at the outbreak of the modern
Pestilence.
pestilence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're so up to this thing. We're all excited. We're meeting people because what's his name that does the Food Lies documentary.
Oh
He was there.
man. So, yeah.
I don't
He
think of his
hasn't
name.
been on the show though, but he was
No,
there. We should have brought the camera. We did bring the camera. I forgot why we didn't bust it out, but I think there was not enough battery or audio issues or
well, you know what? I filmed the presenters with the
okay.
yeah. So I don't know. I have that footage somewhere. I don't know how good it was. So, but I'm pretty sure I did. I know I at least filmed Sean, but there was a couple other people there. So yeah, so a lot of people, once they did a podcast with me or whatever, or Justin, then they're like, oh, let me try it on my own. And of course, I'm a super part timer. So then a lot of these people do a full time BNS.
Right.
BNS. So we used to hang with BNS back in the day, and then he started a podcast and just done really well.
Yeah, doing TEDx now. He got a TED Talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Do a TED Talk.
Looking sharp. Yeah.
Very cool.
And just to put it in perspective for people, we are in several directions 2 people removed from Joe Rogan, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, we throw that in there. Of course, Sean's been on at least twice, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I did quite a few interviews with people. I remember the Nusky family. And God, there's been a bunch of people came on and just told their story. So there's lots of content like that. Like Justin mentioned, over 400 videos that we got done in one fashion or another, one group or another. That's kind of why we called it Meat Mosaic, because it was different people participating at different times, but everybody was kind of on the same page. Everybody was kind of in the low carb umbrella. Most of them were carnivore. Some of them were keto-esque. Heavy keto. So, and Marge.
Asa?
Yeah, Asa came on and did one. Asa, what's Asa's last name again?
Oh man, I'd have to look it up, but Asa, yeah. And even people that were more into like fasting or just kind of body, like I guess you'd call it biohacking. Because Margie's trainer was on as well, right?
Yeah, Miami Life and Fitness. I think her name's Estrie. She came on. We had several trainers on from different areas. Most of them were somewhere in the States. So,
and of course, Dr. Paul Mason himself.
Yeah, Dr. Paul Mason came on. Hopefully, I'll get another time set up with him. Come back on. That'd be really nice. He's a real great guy to talk to. He's a lot of fun, very informative.
And of course, the two claims to fame for Tom, Zach Bitter, and I'm so sorry, the lady that did the cows, the I
Oh,
can't remember
Temple
her name.
Grandin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Temple Grandin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
you
got
guys.
the pleasure of talking to Temple Grandin. She's not a strict carnivore by any stretch of the imagination, but she's a big proponent of people eating animal protein. So she talked about how important she thought that was, and that was really nice because she's an icon of the autistic community and an icon of the cattle industry, and I believe she's still an active professor. Let's see, what is that? Colorado. I forget which university now, off the top of my head, but um, let's see, Fort Collins. Is it Fort Collins, Colorado? Anyways, I forget. But anyways, yeah. So Temple Grant was on here. Zach Bader, ultra marathoner. He's a nice guy. He's a great guy, and I'm always enamored with the 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 extent to which they go to train and win these events. That guy can run for 24 hours, or he can run 100 miles, or what all these crazy things they do. Yeah. So
Definitely. Yeah. So and our heart goes out to each and every single one of them. Some of them are still doing content. Some of them are not. Some of them eating habits have gone a bit astray. But
well, I
nothing but
think
love
Jack is
all the
still
way.
doing human performance outliers. I think that's still
Right.
active. And of course, Sean Baker's got all kinds of content. He's on like every platform, and he's got the new company Revero.
Right.
Um, Emily's still very active, creating a lot of content. She's got groups going on. I think Charmaine is still active too. I still see her time to time.
Yeah, yeah. She's not doing so much the fitness, but she got really into Qigong. I mean, she was already into it, but she got like even more into it. So this is really cool. Good for her. A lot of people doing lots of great stuff.
Well,
Asa,
another
of course, with his polarity, male female polarity work, which is interesting. I'm not sure if I chew and digest all of it, but it's interesting stuff that he talks about.
yeah, I mean that's kind of the interesting thing is we all have different niches. So, some people are more spiritual, some people are more uh into, fitness or a specific type of fitness. So, and some people are more into, physical healing, some people are more into emotional healing. So that's the nice thing about the community is that there's a lot of animal based people that have different niches to help people and who have different needs, right?
Yeah, yeah, which is really cool. And of course, Mr. Brett Lloyd.
Oh yeah, Brad Lloyd.
Yeah.
So his specialty is, I think, strumming guitars and eating bacon and ground beef. But he has an album on Spotify you can get.
Oh, the
I got.
album came out? I knew he had the singles. I never grabbed up the album.
Oh yeah, the album's been out. God, probably a couple of years.
Oh no, I feel bad.
I think it's called Carnivore Train.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so Brett, that's another guy that we. I don't know. I can't remember how many videos I did with him.
Oh
But I
yeah,
still
he was doing
still
quite.
interact with him online. So yeah,
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you still talk to Brett.
yeah, here and there. I like to rib him every once in a while.
And the mysterious creature Ayani who is I'm told sure completely different names now.
Oh,
That's
Karina, yeah, I still
yeah,
talk to
yeah.
Karina too. Yeah, I'll see if maybe she wants to come on and do a video. I don't know. She's
That'd be really cool. I talked to her
she's not real
forever.
outgoing, but it would be nice to do a video with her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because I still message back and forth with her at least every week, if sometimes every
Oh,
day.
good.
We're
Oh
always
man.
sending each other links and stuff. So
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
She's still out there. Well, and she's an admin in Autistic Carnivores Facebook group. So if people don't know
Right.
about it, that's a group that has started a long time ago. I guess I should talk about it every episode so people know it exists. But I got several Facebook groups, including one just called Meat Mosaic, and then there was one called the Meat Cult, which is kind of more of the fun one. And I think there's a Carnivore Collective Conspiracy group.
Yeah.
And there's keto fasting group, or I forgot the name of it. But anyways, there's a bunch of groups out there that have been created over the years. So if you're still on Facebook, come and find us. So we get new people all the time, and most of the groups like Autistic Carnivores, people just helping each other. Sometimes it's parents of autistic children, or sometimes it's clinicians or doctors or whatever. They're curious, and so they'll come in and ask people, what do you guys, how do you deal with this or that or the other thing, or so it's a group that just kind of helps itself. I kind of try and stay on top of it and chime in, but I don't have a huge amount of time to dedicate to it. It's hard enough just getting rid of the phony ads and the trolling. So
Oh man, that reminds me of a couple other guests. Special shout outs to Jules, who's
yeah,
really awesome.
yeah, we
And of
should hear
course,
about it.
Michelle. Oh man, I feel bad now. Um, who was in oh, Singapore.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Michelle, what's her last name? Lalick?
was it? It could have been. The big fashion. He's a huge, not a designer, but now I feel really bad because I forget what she did, but very big in the fashion industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I couldn't tell you exactly how to spell it, but I think it's her last name something like Lalick.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, she's really nice.
yeah.
I had a good time talking with her too. I
And
still,
Dr. Wiederman, the
yeah,
optometrist.
Lisa Wiederman. I think she just goes by Carnivore Doctor, right? Online, that's her handle.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her recently. We all tried to get that Marco Polo thing going on, and it didn't. I don't know. We kept it going for like a year. Just having those kind of you leave a video message for whatever, uh, so you don't have to respond right away, but you can leave a message. I don't see. I'm looking for Michelle on here, and I don't see her. But anyways, yeah, I try and keep in touch with Lisa, but I probably haven't messaged with her for a few months now, at least a month. So she's going strong. She had a pretty strong presence, particularly on Instagram. So Carnivore Doctor. So, anyways, you said you bought some eggs today.
Did buy eggs. I want to say it was 8.39 for a 24 pack of organic vegetarian fed brown eggs at Costco.
Did they have much of a variety?
No, they really didn't. I want to say that was all that was there. Maybe they had white eggs, but I didn't see them. But I
Right.
think that's all that they had. And they had, I mean, a good few pallets. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but like a 4x4, pallets. There was a good stacked
Well, I found Michelle. Sorry,
five.
because it's Michelle X Lalick.
Okay, yeah.
All right, sorry. So yeah,
Uh,
so eggs have been in short supply. You can't necessarily buy what you want. Sometimes the stores are out and they have limits on it, so you kind of buy what you can get, right?
yeah, yeah, and they had a sign there that said limit three per customer. Three of the 24 packs, not a limit of three eggs. We're not there yet. Hopefully we
Not
don't
there
get
yet.
there.
You have to walk in every day and buy 3 eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
same thing here. Like last time I went, I got a 5 dozen box of the regular white eggs, vegetarian fed. That was the only eggs in the store. The only the only package of eggs was 5 dozen. So
I had a friend of mine post, I don't remember if it was Sam's Club or Walmart. It was something like 150 eggs for $109.
so given the scarcity of eggs, I was buying eggs wherever I found them, and I noticed something. So can does it show the color of the yolk? Can you see the difference, Justin?
Barely,
Okay.
barely here, but
So
continue.
basically what it is this egg, brown egg over here on the left is
Mhm.
a vegetarian fed egg, chicken, and they
A
deliberately,
vegetarian fed egg. That was
yeah,
funny. You
vegetarian fed
mentioned
egg.
it.
But I read the package and they actually formulate the diet to make the yolk darker and orangier and less pale
Oh,
yellow. So if you
okay.
look at the one on the far right, you can tell it's a paler yellow color.
Yes.
So that's a regular vegetarian fed chicken egg, white egg, right? I
Right.
thought it was interesting that um, they were actually formulating the feed to make the yolk darker. Now, the one in the middle is a cage-free natural diet. So it's like a chicken that runs
Like a
around.
pasture, right? Like pasture.
Yeah, pasture-raised chicken. And it might be hard to tell online, but in person, it was obvious that it was even darker, quite a bit darker, not quite a bit darker, but certainly a few shades darker orange than the close one, which was the other vegetarian feed, the brown egg, the other brown egg. So yeah, I was like, is that just marketing that they're like, oh, people see a dark orange yolk and they think it's a superior egg, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's what runs through my mind is that a darker yolked egg has more nutrition or something like that. I'm not sure how the science actually breaks down that,
Yeah.
like if it's a truth or a myth. Um, but I would say so. Like, I, I mean, I typically avoid the store-bought regular white egg because they are a quote unquote kind of a processed egg. They're kept in the cage. They're probably fed a lot of maybe soy or corn or something
Right.
because chickens want to eat bugs, and if they can get their beak on it, the occasional mouse. And so, but if they're so the white eggs are certainly not getting any of that. Maybe some bugs, maybe if they just happen to wander in. But like the chance of the egg or the chicken that you got your egg from having access to that bug is very slim because of all the other chickens, right? It's pretty much whatever chickens like closest to the door, the openings or things like that, right? Um, and then your vegetarian fed, which I'm sure is very similar to the eggs I bought today. It's cage free, which means that they have like a square footage pin, which separates them from the pasture raised eggs. But you increase the chance, I think they actually get to go outside, and you increase the chance of them maybe eating some bugs. Um, and so I think that can possibly enhance nutrition a bit. Now, your pasture raised eggs are probably still mostly vegetarian fed. I think it's just because it's cost effective. Um, but if they're just out walking around, they're chowing down on quite a few bugs as well.
Yeah, why don't they just feed all those crickets that they want to turn into human food to the chickens?
Right, right.
Yeah,
That
or
would, and
roaches. That was the other gross one. They were gonna make somebody's like growing and farming roaches to make food out of too.
yuck.
Yeah.
Tom, what are your thoughts? Do you think an egg is healthier the darker the yolk? Do you care? Do you notice anything one way or the other?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm inclined to think that because, especially if it's a naturally fed chicken, right? Because I think that's the nutritional profile that works best for us, and the nutritional profile of the yolk, probably more so than the white, is going to be dependent on what the bird is eating, right? And
Right.
I do know in some brands, like I believe the brown feed vegetarian fed chicken, they do formulate the feed to increase like omega-3 and some other stuff. I forget what else it said on the package. So they're formulating it to change the color as well as the nutritional content, but also to make it the eggs stay fresher longer, which is find interesting because it's kind of like, is that good or bad? Yeah, it's good in that it'll has a longer shelf life, but is there any sort of downside to it? Who knows? So it's like, genetically engineering crops so you can put more glyphosate on them. Is that good? And then, of course, we wash the eggs. I think in the United States, if I know in
Or
California,
bleached.
maybe all of the United States, but definitely California, they wash them and then they kind of sanitize them, and they actually don't have as long a shelf life as they normally would.
Right, because you've gotten rid of the like microbiome barrier that would come
Yeah.
naturally. Um, and I have seen at the natural market, I haven't looked in a while, but soy-free eggs, which I thought was, I would buy those from time to time too. That were just uh, chickens that were not fed any soy, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I agree too. You don't want to be eating animals that have been fed a bunch of soy. You don't want to be eating the eggs from animals that are fed a bunch of soy. But that being said, we're in a time now where you got to buy what you can find. You can't just.
Right,
And then of course things get astronomically expensive sometimes, and you want to get the most. I don't know. The word natural has been so bastardized; it's almost hard to say. But let's say
pastured. I
a
think just
chicken that
pastured.
living in the environment it was meant to live and eating the food it evolved to eat, right? Because like you said, the cage free usually means they're walking around in like a barn or a warehouse, you know. And
Right,
some of them do have outside areas the chickens can go outside if they want. But if you've ever seen the footage of it, the chickens are mostly just walking around in a giant room. So,
right.
but I don't know. People like to stay indoors too. So maybe I'm not saying it's a good thing for people or chickens, but you know, I mean, I don't want the animals, being distressed or I don't know if they can actually call it unhappy, but obviously chickens who can walk around and have more room, get in fewer fights and feel less stressed out, right? There's probably less anxiety when they can just walk around. So
Yeah. Well, and I will say, so everyone says, "Oh, go to contact a local farmer or get your own chickens." As a person who has family that has the land that got their own chickens, chickens are hard to raise and they're hard to keep alive out in the Midwest. At least where my family's at and where I am at, because you got everything wants to eat them. There's not possums want to eat them, raccoons want to eat them, hawks want to eat them, um, snakes want to eat them. Like just
mhm.
everything wants to eat your chickens. And in the middle of the night, there could be and a raccoon will just, claw through and just go through your chicken wire to get to a chick to get to some chickens. There's been several times where my aunt, who takes care of the farm, she'll wake up the next morning to a bloodbath, you know, and it was a possum or a raccoon usually. So for those that think that, oh, you can just raise your own chickens, get dogs. I've heard that's what you have to do. You have to get dogs outside
Yeah.
because the dogs will keep the other animals away. Now, my aunt has dogs, but they're spoiled indoor dogs. So she needs to get other dogs to keep the chickens, I think pit bulls are good. I forget which breeds are good for watching
Well,
what's
if you're
happening
just
now.
worried about raccoons and possums, I mean, even a rat terrier is a great choice. But if, like here, you got to have a dog that can handle coyotes, which you're going to need a big dog who knows how to scrap because, the coyotes always are in packs, you know.
Right.
So, and they oftentimes use a female to lure a male dog out, and then they pounce on them. So, you need a hardy, scrappy dog if you got a coyote issue, which there's pretty much coyotes in every state in the
Right.
in the United States and Canada and Mexico. They're everywhere. So if you got chickens, you got to get there's not necessarily coyotes, big coyote populations in every area of every state, but that's a concern too because they like eating chickens.
Yeah, like I said, everything wants to eat them. So you've got, and you can fortify the best you can, but you got to have another animal there. It seems to be the best way to keep the chickens safe.
You can get a donkey or a llama too to because they both like like the llamas they can detect the coyotes a longer distance away than most animals.
Mm.
They stomp them with those giant feet. And donkeys take actual pride in annihilating coyotes. It's amazing. You'll see like a full grown horse run away and a donkey will just go over and whoop ass. It's amazing. And they'll walk around with a dead coyote in their mouth showing it off for hours. Just like, look what I did. Look what I did. So there are options to keeping your chickens alive, but
Okay.
it involves getting more animals. So perhaps one day we'll have robot chicken
A
guard,
robot. There you go. Robot llamas to
robot
guard
llama.
that.
I like that.
Yeah, to guard the chickens.
Robot llama. Yep. Raccoon sensing, possum sensing,
Mhm.
coyote evading, llama. I like it.
Now, what's interesting is that, because my aunt's dogs do go do their business in the yard, and our thinking was that the scent of the business would keep all the other animals away, but no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I don't think raccoons and possums care about that. They they might put them on alert, but they're gonna walk right through.
Yeah,
I mean, my dogs would bark at possums walking across the wall, and it would freeze, and they'd be trying to jump up and grab the possum off the wall, and it would still just freeze there. But it clearly knew it was walking past yard after yard with a dog in it, you know,
right.
and they they would steal fruit and stuff like that because everybody around here has fruit trees. I didn't mind them because they eat rats and grubs and stuff. So, they do some housekeeping. But one time, one of my dogs actually made it to the top of the wall and bit the possum on the face. So, yeah, that was a surprise because I didn't think the dog could make it. But finally, the dog just got up there. And of course, the possum went flying off the other side of the wall. So, I don't know what happened. I think everybody was okay, but, you know. Didn't seem to deter. And I've seen raccoons run through the yard too. I saw a raccoon climbing over my neighbor's fence one time. I thought it was a dog. It was so big. I was like,
They get
ever seen
huge.
a dog climb like that? And then I looked and there was another one. There was two giant raccoons. I mean, they just walk around stealing dog food, so they get huge. They're just monstrous because there's so much pet food to eat, you know. And of course everybody has fruit trees, so there's apples and freaking my neighbor's got a bunch of loquat and somebody else's. My other neighbor even had a banana tree.
Mhm.
So I didn't know they grew here, but he had this huge banana tree. I couldn't believe how many bananas came off that thing. I should have asked him what kind it was.
Yeah, I remember the raccoons in California being pretty fat. Like they looked like a dog. Like you're saying, like they look like they're as big as like a medium-sized dog at least, like a corgi. You little
Well,
thing.
they kind of hunch up, when they're walking,
Yeah.
and to see one stretched out climbing up a fence. And see how long it was. I was like, wow, look at how big that thing is. Holy cow. And I think these are some particularly large ones that have been around eating well for a while. So I texted my neighbor. I said, two giant raccoons just climbed your fence and went in your backyard. He's like, oh yeah, my dog's at the back door growling. And I was like, I think he's coming to steal the food. And they're like, yeah, they steal the food all the time. So imagine that.
Raccoon stealing dog food. Dry food, I get the kibble. They like that kibble, I guess.
Mhm. But they
I
gotta
don't
wet it
know.
and eat it.
Well, I guess raccoons don't. I don't. Are they monogastric, right? Raccoons.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think they have saliva glands though, so they have a hard time eating wet food or dry food. That's what I was told.
Oh,
Because they're known for dunking food in water if it's dry.
right.
It's a curious habit.
It's quite interesting. I mean, they're cute. I like. I mean, raccoons are kind of cool. They're interesting
Yeah.
creatures. But I'm just curious about their. We should have a metabolic study of the raccoons in California where you live to see how they're doing because they're eating all the same food as that dog food because the dogs aren't doing too well. So, and it's kind of
Right.
interesting that you say that they're pretty fat and large because that's what ends up to the dogs and everything else that eats that poor diet.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not even sure what else raccoons eat in nature. It's a good question.
Yeah,
Huh. Hmm. We'll have to look that one up. Maybe that'll be another episode.
maybe. Well, we know
Yeah.
they eat chickens.
Right. Yeah, my cousin that raises chickens, he has a security camera or two in the chicken coop,
Uh-huh.
and he heard a ruckus, and he showed me the video of you can't even see the raccoon come in. It's nighttime, so it's night vision, but you
Right.
see the raccoon dragging the chicken, trying to drag the chicken back out, and then the chicken gets free before the raccoon pulls it through the hole. So then it comes back and it's all jacked up, combs half ripped off, and it's missing its feathers and
Right.
limping and everything. But the chicken bounced right back.
Oh,
Got a few scars, but yeah, because my cousin's like, he called his friend because he thought he was gonna have to put the chicken down, and he couldn't
yeah.
do it. It was heartbroken. His chicken got jacked up by this raccoon, and he called his friend. His friend's like, I don't know, man. Let's give it a day or two. It doesn't seem to be doing too bad. And sure enough, the chicken was fine, just even though he's missing a few pieces.
I've
Uh,
also heard geese. Geese and duck, I guess, will also protect. Maybe not so much
yeah,
duck.
did Raymond have geese too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
that's
said they
right.
get real ornery and territorial though. You gotta show him his boss once in a while. He said he'd grab him by the neck and say, "Hey, I'm the boss." So, but yeah, they're bigger and they make a lot of noise, right? So
Yeah,
bigger. I'm sure they're stronger if they're because I mean, God, a goose or a swan, it's got to be what, like at least 3, 4, 5 times the size of a chicken.
yeah. Depending on the breed, I mean, of course, but on
Yeah,
average.
they have some pretty big chickens.
Yeah, they do.
There's not one. There's one called a Brahma or something that's huge. It's like
Yeah,
3 feet tall. And
yeah.
then there's a Goliath Rex. It's another giant chicken.
Another thing too is, you think the nice big rooster would defend, but which they can, but you get yourself one of the big, tall, mean roosters. He's pretty mean to the female birds, and he's mean to you. So that's
Ah,
why like people like you know yes, you get a rooster, but like if you get one of the big mean ones, they're freaking mean. And those when they get you with the back of their you know those back talons, freaking hurts and tear you
hmm.
up. A rooster.
I have seen some videos of roosters fighting with hawks. The hawks come down,
When?
get the chicken, and the rooster usually jacks them up pretty good. So I guess that's what they're for. But like you said, they're hard on everybody.
Yeah, they're hard on everybody.
That's their
Yeah.
job, being hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's options out there. We got donkeys, llamas, geese, or a good sized fighting dog, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of dogs that are, make good pets that are good. Oh well, I mean, a sheepdog, a big sheepdog would work. You know, Rhodesian Ridgeback probably work, something like that. Those are nice dogs.
Now you also got to make sure your dog does not eat the chickens because they will also eat the chicken.
Yeah, there is that. You got to get a dog that understands it's their job to protect the chickens.
Right.
Yeah, my friend, he moved to the other side of the country and they got chickens, and his dog immediately stripped all the feathers off the chickens. So, just love chasing the chickens around, ripping the feathers out.
Yeah.
So there is
That
that.
wouldn't make for good eggs. Yeah. And if you're getting chicks, because they're cheaper to get as chicks, you're not getting eggs until like 7 months later, 8 months later. You gotta wait till they mature, their feathers fall off, then they grow their plume, then they'll start laying. it's, it's quite the process.
And you get what, like 2 years of egg laying out of a chicken or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So then you can just eat them, right?
Right. And it's so this is the thing is that like, why is industrial farming like why does it exist? Because this stuff is actually kind of hard to do and you kind of have to pay attention to a lot of different things. You got to have like a set of land and it's quite the complicated operation, agriculture, farming, and so I feel that a lot of us were brought up in this idea of everyone's abusing animals, like they should be treated that way, let them all free. Even if you're not vegan or anything, you just think like just naturally growing up, well, maybe not naturally, but like growing up in our culture is just like, oh, the poor animals, oh, this. It's like there's a lot of freaking science and attention to detail that goes into our livestock and eggs and food production, and they deserve more respect. And I feel like they don't get it. And there are problems. Don't get me wrong. It is not perfect, but a lot of it has more to do with efficiency than wanting to, you know, cause pain or cause some kind of harm or disease. Because you can't have a bunch of diseased animals anyway. You can't sell that meat. You can't. I mean, maybe you could, but you're not. How do you become profitable if your animals are constantly sick? It just doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah,
so,
well, and
go
that's why
ahead.
we have a lot of hope for the regenerative agricultural side, or regenerative animal husbandry, where you got to put the cows on the land, you rotate them around the paddocks, to bring in the chickens to follow them around, and then bring in the pigs and the ducks and everything, and then you get a nice food web going. The land is taken care of. You fight desertification, you sequester carbon, you reduce the parasite load on the livestock, and so on and so forth, right? And
Right.
it's no small deal, but it's a better way of doing it because you don't need the pharmaceuticals, you don't need the pesticides and the herbicides and everything to manage things.
No doubt. And that's just another counter to lab grown meat. That's another argument. Proponents of lab grown meat, or fake meats or industrial meats or whatever you want to call them, of well, it's you get to have your protein with no animal cruelty, you know?
Yeah, and I thought one of the kind of eerie arguments was that the lab grown meat was genetically identical to real meat, and it's like genetically identical to a particular cow. That doesn't mean just because the set of genes is the same doesn't mean it's the same food now, does it?
Right.
So, and I mean, just because it's those set of genes aren't living in an animal, they're living in a vat in a in a factory somewhere. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same thing, right?
Right. Yeah. And who knows what, because there's still like the epigenetic principle, right? And so it's not getting that kind of exposure,
That's
because
true. I
like
mean, the
there's just
epigenetic
this.
shift might be a drastic one if it's not in a favorable environment, right?
Right. Um, and so, it just the amino acids could be correct sitting in a dish. I don't know. I feel like our biology is kind of smart. I feel like there would be some kind of processing issue on our end, possibly. I think the whole thing's kind of scary, and I mean, I understand why they're trying to push such a thing. Um, but I just feel like we have the evidence that it's unnecessary. We can quote unquote feed the world, those that want to partake, more or less as much meat as they would want to eat. Now, does that mean everybody gets to eat 2 ribeyes a day? I don't know. You know. Now, does everybody want to eat 2 ribeyes a day though? That I also don't know. They're prized and they're coveted. Um, but um, so yeah, I mean, I get it when people say just buy the whole cow. Yes, but you got to know how to use the whole cow. Cooking everything up. How to do their back ribs, how to do the different, the shoulder cuts, the tougher meats, the tongue. You know, which tongue is good. It is a very interesting texture. Heart, if you wanted it, all that stuff. I mean that would be, you know, and you get quite a bit of ribeyes from a whole cow.
Yeah, well, and you get, like you said, not everybody's gonna want to have a ribeye, you know, and
Right,
we both eat plenty of ground beef, which is, you know, all the other salvageable muscle tissue, right?
right,
And so let's say one cow is roughly the number of calories that the average person eats in a year, right? So let's say we
right,
need one cow per person as a baseline.
right,
We got something like 300 million people, 330 million people in the United States.
yeah,
Okay. And you need something like 2 acres per cow, right? So do the
mhm,
math. You need uh, 6 million, six, what was it? We have 330 million people. So double that's 6 million,
uh,
600. No,
660 million
that's
acres.
what I meant to say, 660 million acres. So,
Right, which sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot of land. Not gonna lie.
yeah, let's see how much there is. Uh, and there's something like uh last time they checked, there's something like 880 million acres, and it's been declining because, of course, there's the change in farming. So, and that doesn't necessarily count everything because there's places like if you ever drive across Kansas and you live on near Kansas, right?
Right. I go to Kansas every day.
So there's areas of Kansas where you drive through, and it's just mile after mile of prairie grass.
Uh,
Just goes on forever. So there's plenty of land, and really cows eat grass. They're supposed to eat prairie grass. So if you got them eating natural prairie grass and then you integrate the other animals, you rotate them, I'm sure it could be done. you
And I
know.
just looked it up. The Earth itself has a total area of approximately 36 billion acres. This includes all continents, islands, and other land masses on the planet. However, it's important to note that about 57% of this land is considered uninhabitable due to being desert or mountainous. Subtracting this uninhabitable land leaves with about 15.77 billion acres of habitable land, which there's about 7 billion people on the earth. So we could still do it. And of course, oh, go ahead, Tom.
I was just gonna say, if we look at just the cow, that's roughly how many acres it might take, right?
Right.
But we're also, in the regenerative concepts, you're also having pigs and chickens and ducks and stuff on that same land, right? As part
Right.
of, so, I don't know. Let's say a pig is a third the size of the cow. Maybe it's a quarter, right? So it's, and they tend to be fatty. So there's a substantial amount of
I
calories
don't
there.
know. Those Hogzilla you could grow a whole bunch of Hogzillas.
There you go. If you got Hogzillas running around, they're like 1,000-pound pigs. So that's kind of your goal weight, I think, on a pasture cow too, is something like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So you got that, you know. So if you add, we're talking, I don't know how many chickens per cow or pigs per cow that they run on the same land, but let's say it's 1 to 1. So there's a substantial amount of calories in adding in another animal, 2 more animals. And let's say it's chickens, guinea fowl, ducks, maybe there's geese, plus the pigs. There's substantial amount of food there.
Definitely. I mean, you're quadrupled your protein intake just very easily with the variety. And some people do really like pork versus cow. It sounds weird to some of us, but some people really like duck eggs. And let's not forget our friends of the sea as well, right?
Yeah. So I looked at specifically grazing land instead of farmland, and it's
Uh-huh.
805 million acres
In the US.
in the U.S. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and you got to remember too, if you put, um, and that number changes because of the conditions, right? And whether
Right.
it's used or not. Um, if you put cattle on the land where it's subject to desertification because of seasonal rainfall, the cattle actually help turn that desertified land back into pasture land.
And
So
if a certain governor allows water to flow into from the north to the south in a certain state, you get some stuff going there too.
yeah, yep. So there's that. So um, the next thing we'll have to do is figure out if anybody knows how much pasture land a mammoth needs.
There you go. Yeah,
Because we should start working on that.
start working on that. Yeah,
Yep,
pastured mammoth. There you go.
pastured mammoth.
I hope they don't taste terrible. That would be highly disappointing.
That would be. Think our ancestors had eaten some gnarly tasting meat all the time. My guess is they're delicious because there's so many bones that was left behind.
Meaning that eating them to the bone, is that what you mean? Or just
Well,
like,
we butchered them. So we butchered a
uh-huh.
lot of mammoth. So, they
Well, there were other options.
there
So I
were
guess
others,
there
sure.
were other options. Yeah.
It seems like, but I don't know, it's not like I don't know the ratio of what animal was option wise there was at the same time, but it seems like that they were a favorite to eat, and they were probably the biggest mammal at the time. So, arguably a challenge, right?
And you wouldn't think elephant, modern day elephant, wouldn't taste similar?
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And I think the last people to regularly eat mammoth were the pygmies, and now they're on some government reservation where they can't hunt elephants. So I
Right.
don't know if we can even ask them what it tastes like.
Oh, yeah, it's illegal to eat an elephant. Or it's been illegal since like the 60s, I'm guessing, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, the pygmies are the smallest people we know of, and they were
Right.
hunting the biggest mammal. So there you go. Imagine average size, or
Right.
you know, Gravidian mammoth hunters that were taller and bigger, or even Neanderthals that were apparently stockier and stronger built. Probably did pretty good. Did pretty good eating them mammoths.
Yeah, I guess you need to figure out how many square acres each mammoth needs to. What will be grazing, or you have to get them like a bunch of avocado trees? I don't know. That could get expensive, Tom.
Right.
I don't know how well mammoths do around cow and duck and everything. Might freak them out.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't care. Don't see any actual data on mammoths. So.
Oh. Hey, we open a whole new field of animals.
It's probably similar to elephants, right?
Right.
Elephants are similar size, so let's figure out how much space an elephant needs.
So it's interesting. So we have a local zoo, and one of my favorite enclosures, quote unquote, is the elephant enclosure. And the bull that they have, he is mammoth. Like he is huge. And I can't, it's hard to imagine something bigger than a bull African elephant because it is already like, I mean, you take giraffe, I mean, you know, it is like I would not want to climb in an enclosure. Like even if they're like, oh, it's safe, he's not gonna bother you. I'd be like, nah, I'll stay up here. Like
For
I'm
the
not
for the
going
elephant or the giraffe?
the elephant. Although you should watch out for the giraffe as well. They could genuinely accidentally step on you and crush you.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously giraffe. I mean, they're so tall, and I know they swing those. They have those little
Oh
horns they
yeah,
swing their heads around. They
yeah.
got
That's how they
hooves, right?
fly.
Like a horse.
Yeah, they've got hooves. Yeah, like a horse. Yeah.
But it seems like at a lot of zoos, people are just feed them by hand because they're
Oh
like
yeah,
super, super chill or something.
yeah, yeah. I've fed them. I've fed giraffe. Yeah, by hand. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's intimidating. It is frightening of how like just big and just like yeah, but they're pretty gentle at least with people. And especially since like where I was, like they're used to people feeding them, right? So it's like
Yeah, I didn't see any good data on how much space elephants need for grazing in particular. They're apparently very rangy. So they wander around an area. And I know they wander around a group, family groups, right?
right.
But their range is something like 2.7 million acres.
Wow. All right. That's quite a bit of ground.
That's the kind of space they're used to existing in anyway. So I'm sure they don't eat all that grass, but
Right.
they move around. So
So a mammoth maybe double that?
I think the Colombian mammoths are a little bit bigger than the African elephants, but I don't think that much bigger.
Okay.
The woolly mammoth is maybe a little bit is a little smaller than the Colombian and a little bit bigger than an African, but I don't know. I'll have to look that up too. They were big. Big, big.
Big, big. Yeah, they are quite the imposing creatures. I like sitting there and watching them, but it's just like, man, he's just like, and you just see him like throw like a monster truck tire. Like that's what he has to like play with. And just tosses it around. Like, nothing.
Yeah, those animals are scary strong.
Yeah.
You ever seen that one of the guys are riding on the elephant and the tiger comes out of the grass and tries to get the guys off the elephant's back?
No, I haven't seen that
Oh
video.
yeah, it's on YouTube somewhere. It's amazing. It's like, damn, that tiger's bold. And the thing is, it's an animal like that, like it's a big old tiger, right? And
Mhm.
the animal's so fast and so strong, but it's no challenge for an elephant really. Full grown elephants is gonna stomp them.
Right, yeah. So,
So,
was that like at a circus or something, or was it like out in the wild?
it was out in the wild. It looked like
Oh,
India or something.
oh, okay.
Guys are going. I don't know if I'm not sure. They might have been hunting or something. They're on the back of an elephant and they're cruising across the grasslands, and this tiger is sneaking up on them, and he comes jumping out of the grass, tries to grab one of the. I think he bites one of the guys on top of the elephant. Yeah.
I've never seen that video. I want to see the video now, but that sounds completely crazy and like terrifying and like so then
Yeah.
what? If the tiger bites and then just like
He keeps jumping up,
falls,
and I think he eventually bites one of the guy's arms or something when he's on the back of the elephant. He's trying to pull him off and eat him.
but the elephant doesn't care because it's not getting hurt by the tiger.
Yeah, and I think the elephant's trained not to throw people off, right? The
Uh-huh.
elephant's kind of stuck. You can't start stomping on the tiger without throwing the guys off.
Uh,
That was my
yeah,
guess. I'm far
right.
from an expert on the subject, but that's what I got out of it.
That makes sense. I'd believe that. That sounds like a crazy video though. You'll have to send me that one.
Yeah, we'll
We should
find it.
have them on the podcast.
I'd play it, except I don't think I'd get away with it.
Yeah. I don't know. Would that be like a copyrighted thing? Who would copyright such a thing? Who would own that?
Yeah, well, whoever posted it, I don't know.
Would you ever go on safari, Tom?
Sure.
I think it'd be great to go to safari. I'd love to visit South Africa someday, do a safari.
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and type in "tiger attacks man on elephant," you can watch it.
All right. Let's check that out.
It's pretty wild. It's been well, since it was posted 3 years ago. So in my mind, I'd seen it even longer ago than that, but I guess it's only a couple years ago. Anyways, shall we wrap her up, or you got more?
Well, I guess if you keep a mammoth with your chickens, I think that would keep the raccoons and possums uh, and coyotes away from the chickens.
Yeah, a pig might keep the raccoons and the possums out because pretty sure they'd eat them given half a chance.
Now, a boar or a pig? Because that's kind of a
Pig,
different.
pigs eat like everything.
But they're not very like agile.
I don't know. They're pretty fast.
A
The
regular
the
pig?
the wild pigs around here that they eat baby deer even. They'll snatch anything and eat it. Yep.
What about a turkey? Would a turkey defend chickens or would a turkey eat the chickens?
I don't know. I think I've seen people have chickens and turkeys in the same on the same lot, so that's probably cool.
So plenty of meat. I think even with the simple little math that Tom and I did on this show, it there's more than enough land to feed everybody now, plus possibly even up to double the current population.
Well, Canada's right next door. They have a lot of land. I mean, there's more people in California than there is in Canada. It's a big
It's
country.
it's frozen 6 months out of the year though.
Yeah, they still raise cattle there. I've had beef from Canada. So they have plenty of grassland and stuff like that. So, they can raise cattle there too. There's lots of places they raise cattle, right?
Right. India has like the most cattle, right? Is it India?
Yeah, I think so. They just don't eat them, at least not publicly. Yeah, you have a cow just because it's, kind of a symbolic religious thing. And then when it gets old and tired, you send it off to that magic farm for where it's goes to rest peacefully among the flowers. I think something like that. I don't know, some kind of racket like that.
So yeah, we can do it. We know how to do it. I think it's just integrating us as the population and getting some. Well, uh, Kennedy confirmed. Uh, for those in the audience, if you were curious one way or the other, confirmed. He is now the was it HH home? What's it stand for? HHS? Is that what it?
That's a good question. I forgot now.
Because it's not the NIH, because the NIH is the National Institute of Health. The CDC, of course, is different, but he's head of the. I want to say it's called the HHS, and I want to say it's the Home Health Service.
What was it? HHS secretary.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Mhm.
is that over the NIH or is that like completely different?
I wish I knew. I do not know.
Yeah, because I feel like people like hear something like that and they think one thing, but there's so many different departments and different um, what do you say, agencies that like you don't know if it'll. I mean, maybe there's some kind of mandate that could be put forward, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Try and find a comprehensive list of all the government departments and agencies. It's like impossible. And then you got all the NGOs on top of it.
Right.
I looked it up the other day. I was like, how many NGOs are there or non-government organizations are there in the US? And the answer it gave me was 1.5 million. I was like, what? And then if you divide that into the population, oh, I said there's like 330 million people in the United States.
Yeah.
It's like 33 million in California, 35 million, something like that. So if you divide it into the population, that's like one NGO for every 200 people or something like that. It's like, what kind of craziness is that? It's like,
Right.
it's a wonder we don't all work for some non-government organization, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's very complicated. It's interesting times because, I mean, with the closing of the USAID, I'm sure plenty of people lost their jobs, but
Right.
hopefully the good parts of it come back soon. We start cutting out all the baloney, the bad
Right.
baloney. So, anyways, it would be nice if RFK, maybe we'll get. Well, they did. That's right. They banned the red dye 3, was it? Before
Yeah.
the transition. Maybe there'll be more stuff like that. It's just maybe, you know, the healthcare system and the food laws and stuff like that'll be better.
Raw milk. I would love for raw milk to be able to be on
Is it
readily
legal where
available
you
for.
live?
It's actually not legal where I live. In
Oh,
both
okay.
states, it's not legal. It's legal to buy from like a farm, but it's not legal to buy like at the store.
Yeah. Probably
They
can't
do have
transport it across state lines, all kinds of stuff.
they have one that I found that's labeled for pet use, and that's kind of how they get away with it. So
Oh,
I keep meaning to buy it and bring it on the show and drink the dog raw cow milk,
dog milk.
dog milk. Not milk from a dog, but it's raw cow milk. But it's like for pets. And I was like, what's the difference? Yeah.
I don't know. My dog eats the same food I do.
And then California, you can buy it in stores legally, which was pretty cool.
That
It's
is
just
one thing about California. Not that I buy much milk can't remember the last time I actually bought milk, but yeah, you can buy raw milk here.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And sometimes it does kind of taste like a lawnmower, though. Like it is. Woo! I've had some raw milk sometimes where I was like,
Grassy, huh?
not grassy, like damn, it's pasture raised, unfiltered for sure.
I'm pretty sure transporting raw milk across county lines is probably the number one reason Amish people get arrested. Right.
Right.
All right. Well, it was good seeing you.
You too.
Don't get snowed in.
Try not to.
Don't steal any raw milk from any dogs now.
I'll see. I'll see if I can get grab some.
All right. Well, until next time, whatever you do, eat some meat, stay healthy, and don't fall down
Oh,
the
the card. Oh, oh, oh.
oh,